has been a key driver of domestic demand during the recovery, and that stance remains in place. As laid out in the ECB forward guidance, monetary policy will continue to support the economy and respond to future risks in line with our price stability mandate. And yes, we will continuously monitor the side effects of our policies. But it is clear that monetary policy could achieve its goal much faster and with much fewer side effects if other policies were also supporting growth.
Well, Christine Lagarde also mentioned that ongoing trade tensions and geopolitical uncertainties are contributing to a slowdown in world growth, I should say. And I'm happy to say we're now joined by Stephen Roach. He's a senior lecturer at the Jackson Institute of Yale University, the former chairman of Morgan Stanley Asia. Thanks so much for being with us, Stephen. I want to ask you, what's the point of a phase one trade deal we hear so much about at the moment?
Well, it's really a pretty hollow deal, Willem. It's politically expedient, especially for the U.S. president, who's feeling a lot of political pressures for other reasons at home. But it's very flawed in that it focuses on sort of a bilateral fix, operating on the U.S.-China bilateral deficit to address America's multilateral trade imbalances with 102 countries. So it's a ridiculous effort to fix a trade problem, and then it doesn't address any of the structural issues that the U.S. was so adamant about in launching the tariffs over a year and a half ago. So this is a superficial effort to bring an end to a really difficult conflict between two countries.
And obviously it complicates what central bankers will have to be doing next. A lot of uncertainty for the ECB, for the Fed, for policymakers around the world even. When you take a look at what central bankers could be doing next, their hands are really tied, aren't they? Because in a way, they've really used up all the arsenal that they had over the last couple of years. And now they say, hey, the ball is in your court when they talk to the politicians and those who make up fiscal policy. Is that fair? Is there room on that side now?
Well, Caroline, I mean, I've been around long enough to remember that this is a pretty time-worn mantra of central bankers. They always say that there's a limit to what we can do. We need more responsible fiscal policy. We need more responsible structural policies, competitiveness policies. There's a limit to what we can do. That's very much true today with, policy rates close to the zero bound and balance sheets having expanded to unprecedented levels for most major central banks. But, look, I'm a big fan of what Christine Lagarde has done, and what she said today, I think is terrific in focusing on the tough structural issues of whether it's demography or trade tensions, both of which she worked on very, very effectively when she was the head of the IMF. But can monetary policy address those tough structural issues? The answer is no. And all monetary policy can do is pretty much what she said, and that is to stay accommodative and hope that the policymakers charged with dealing with these tough issues will address them. But it's not clear that they're willing to do that, so she's left with little choice.
That's interesting. She also talked about the side effects of monetary policy and some of the unorthodox measures that the ECB has taken over the past couple of years. And we heard from the vice president of the ECB yesterday, basically was telling us, yeah, in a way it's our fault because we have limited the bank's profitability through the negative interest rates. We've also maybe led to the fact that there's excessive risk taking. What can the ECB do about that, if anything?
Well, that's a really tough question. I think the side effect issues of swollen balance sheets and the extra liquidity that injects into world financial markets raises a lot of concerns that many have with respect to potential asset bubbles and financial instability, which of course gave us a horrific crisis 10 years ago. And so, it's one thing to talk about side effects. It's another thing to wean your economy off of these outsized balance sheets. And central banks are having an extremely difficult time doing that. And her remarks today suggest that she's not in any hurry to do that at all, given the weak state of the European economy.
What do you expect the Fed will do next year? Because now it seems like they're in a bit of a pause after 3 successive cuts, which in a way were insurance cuts. Do you think that, and they've also always said there needs to be a material deterioration of some of the things we're seeing, some of the factors we're seeing out there. Do you think they're going to be sitting on the sidelines for much of 2020? Maybe also because there's an election coming up.
Oh, you noticed, huh? Okay. I think the Fed has stated very clearly that they are data dependent, and they'll, which is another way of saying they don't know what they're going to do, and none of us do, because to get the answer to your question, you have to have perfect foresight with respect to the progression of the economy and or inflation. And under a baseline case of the economy, eking out another year of 2% growth, which is lousy growth, then I think they're pretty satisfied with where policy is. And you're entirely right. As we move into the election season, they don't want to become the issue that the candidates are debating in front of the American public. Doesn't mean they won't move if circumstances change dramatically, but the politics of a presidential election generally encourages the Fed to stay on the sidelines.
Just a final question to you when it comes to central banking. What is the mandate of central banks these days? We know the official mandate, at least for the ECB's price stability. The Fed's also looking at growth. Many are looking at unemployment as well. Now Christine Lagarde says we should be greener. We should be worried about climate change. Isn't that a little bit too much? Aren't we overstepping our mandate here when we look at all these different factors? And price stability alone is very difficult to secure. I mean, we're far away from 2% in many economies.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. But don't confuse her legitimate concern as a policymaker with many of the tough issues that we face in the world, from climate to inequality to trade. I think she can use her position to focus attention on these issues, but those are not mandates. The mandate is setting your policy instruments to comply with, in the case of the ECB, solely price stability. The dual mandate in the Fed adds full employment to it. But the subtext of your important question is price stability the right mandate when there's no inflation in the world? Should we be thinking about a different approach to shape the conduct of monetary policy? And I think that's a very rich and fertile ground for a debate that should be held, because to target 2% inflation when you've undershot that for, depending on the central bank, between 5 and 10 years, it may be missing a much more important goal, objective, or mandate for monetary policy.
I'd like to continue that discussion. Unfortunately, we simply don't have the time. We could talk about this for hours, but Stephen, you're going to stick around at least for a little bit longer. We'll continue and talk about the U.S.-China trade deal with you, Stephen Roach, Senior Lecturer at Jackson Institute, Yale University. And we're going to come back to Chris Williamson, Chief Business Economist at IHS Markit, in a little bit. So, yep, this is what we're going to talk about on the show still. Every day, Chinese President Xi Jinping says he won't flinch in a trade fight. Find out why in 2 minutes.
For drug-free sinus and allergy relief, experience Navage.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can feel your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
At Lidl, we're big on all those Christmas parties. The season to be jolly. Try our Party Time Indian snack selection for only $2.99. And our Party Time mac and cheese bites for just $1.19. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
Dear noble shopkeeper, is 25 the magic number?
That's right. For one night only, the Lotto birthday jackpot is £25 million. And it must be won this Saturday.
Lotto, celebrating 25 years of the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Christmas is such a magical time of year for little ones. But why should the big kids miss out? This season, take the family to Santa's Wonderlab at West London Audi. You get to test drive the latest Audi models, and the children get to test drive the latest toys with Santa. There's something for the whole family. Visit santaswonderlab.com to find out more about how to register for your place at Santa's Wonderlab this Christmas.
Welcome back to the show. The Trump administration last week missed a deadline to impose tariffs on European autos, but Politico has reported that the U.S. could now consider an even broader investigation into European Union trade practices under a separate kind of legal authority. Any such inquiry could provide justification for future tariffs. The U.S. Trade Representative's office did not comment on Politico's report, and it is not clear which sectors or policies the U.S. might target under this process. Now, Chinese President Xi Jinping says he remains keen to secure a phase one trade deal with the United States, but he also warned China is prepared to, quote, fight back when necessary. Xi told an economic forum in Beijing his country did not initiate the current trade conflict and said any agreement that is struck must be based on mutual respect and equality. Let's get back out to Stephen Roach, senior lecturer at Jackson Institute at Yale University, who joins us down the line from Singapore. Stephen, thank you so much for staying with us. So before the break, you said that a phase one deal, had it come into effect, and if it will come into effect, would have been a major disappointment. So what happens if we don't get one, though? Because the market is kind of priced for perfection when it comes to that. What happens to the U.S. consumer if we don't get it? Because then December 15, tariffs will come into effect.
Well, look, I think the markets are getting really tired of this endless on-again, off-again struggle over, the big deal, the skinny deal, phase one. I think the markets, certainly the U.S. market, has gone up very, very sharply over the last few weeks. And so if it seems likely that, once again, another promise is being broken on the trade front, that leaves the market quite vulnerable to a reversal of these optimistic expectations. The December 15th round, you're right, was aimed at consumer products, but every time the U.S. president realizes that this is an issue that may have a material impact on a certain sector in the U.S., there's talk of deferring or backing down. So, overnight I just landed in Singapore, but saw some commentary on the fact that Apple may get special dispensation, and it comes a day after the president celebrated his brilliant effort in getting Apple to relocate a Mac manufacturing plant in Texas. Of course, none of that occurred, and it was a total figment of his imagination, but that hasn't stopped him in the past, and it won't stop him in the future.
Thank you so much for that. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Really appreciate your commentary this morning or this afternoon for you. Have a great weekend. Stephen Roach, Senior Lecturer at Jackson Institute at Yale University. And what's coming up?
Well, the UK Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, Carolyn, he has taken aim at bankers, billionaires, as his party unveils its new manifesto. We'll have more details for you on that after this break.
Bring our country together.
Most people think of Verizon as a reliable phone company.
But to businesses,
At Lidl, we're big on all those Christmas parties. The season to be jolly. Try our Party Time Indian snack selection for only $2.99. And our Party Time mac and cheese bites for just $1.19. Big on a Christmas you can believe it. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Dear noble shopkeeper, is 25 the magic number?
That's right. For one night only, the Lotto birthday jackpot is £25 million. And it must be won this Saturday.
Lotto, celebrating 25 years of the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
4 years free servicing. Vauxhall's all-new multi-award-winning fuel-efficient vans, keeping you on the road so you can crack on. Search Vauxhall Van Event or visit your local retailer. Offer available 18th to the 30th of November. Vauxhall carries British business. Free scheduled servicing for 4 years or 60,000 miles, whichever occurs sooner. Maximum 2 services. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Offer ends 30th of November. Just crack on.
Pascal gobbles up the rebound and slams it down.
Catch your favorite NBA team right here on TuneIn.
A step back, deep three is up and in.
Search NBA on TuneIn and hear all the action. The NBA lives on TuneIn.
The puck drops. 12 players face off to win. The suspense is pure torture, but you wouldn't miss this for the world. TuneIn brings you every minute of the